cause any problems. So with that, I'm going to get started. So, but before we start, ask yourself a few questions. Would stronger connections make a difference in your life? Do you want more bottom line results from your networking? Are you ready to be a rock star networker? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you'll be glad you're here. If you didn't, smile and pretend to pay attention. Our speaker today has built 2 successful businesses and has taught thousands of people the value of developing powerful personal connections. When he isn't speaking about great networking, he lives in Ann Arbor with his wife and 2 daughters and trains as a master black belt in Taekwondo and lives next door to Jan Davies. So help us create connections with success. Please join me in welcoming speaker, author, and guy who misplaced his 4-year-old at Disney World, Greg Peters.
Yeah, that last one usually requires a little bit of explanation. Well, first of all, to reassure you all, it was completely my wife's fault. Well, she left me in charge, so yeah. So what had happened was, I had a week-long training session in San Diego, and I was to meet the family at Disney World. So week-long, 12-hour days, and then hop on a flight, 3 time zones, catch a second flight to make it down to Orlando. A nice long bus drive, shuttle drive over to the actual resort. And I get there, I'm a little tired and a lot of jet lag. And my family is already out at the pool having a good time. So I thought, I don't want to miss out on the fun. So I, quick run up to the hotel room, get on my swimsuit, head on out, and we are having a great time. And then my wife makes the fatal flaw. Are you ready? Listen for it, see if you can detect it. I'm going to go get some food. Get the kids up to the hotel room. Not my fault, right? So I give them about 5 more minutes because you can't just break the kids off from swimming. And so okay, 5 minutes, guys. So 5 minutes passes. All right, it's time to get out. And raise your hand if you have any children. Or if you don't have, if you don't have children, you're at least familiar with the concept of children. They have a lot of stuff. They always have a lot of stuff. And when you're in a pool, even more so. So I'm starting to gather the stuff, all right? And my elder child, Kaylee, she at the time was 7. She comes up and says, Dad, can I just go up to the hotel room? Well, what could go wrong? I mean, it's just, they've got those little wrist things now. So all you got to do is you scan it and you can go right on it. Okay, yeah, I guess that'll be okay. Continuing to gather, and then her little sister, Abby, the 4-year-old, comes up and says, Dad, can I go with sister? What could go wrong? Yeah, sure, go ahead, go ahead. I would get all the rest of the stuff together. I have to go over to the door and get to the, get the thing open and get up to the hotel room on the 11th floor. I get up there, I walk in, and there's my elder daughter sitting on the floor watching TV. Where's your sister? I don't know.
Oh, Lord.
You ever had that punch in the gut feeling? Oh, you start thinking things in your head like, where did she go? Am I going to be on the news? Is my wife going to notice? Oh, yeah. I'm not going there. So I'm in a little bit of a panic. And then I make what some might consider to be a mistake. Honey, is Abby with you?
Oh.
Did anyone notice the mistake?
Yeah. You're dead.
No, she was not. Fortunately for my future marital happiness, moments later, we got a call from the front desk. Do you know a young girl named Abigail? So my wife and I actually met coming from opposite directions in the hotel lobby. And there was, of course, my daughter, sitting on the couch in her wet swimming suit. They had given her a coloring book and crayons. So apparently Disney has had problems with this. What apparently had happened is she tried to follow her big sister. She couldn't reach the scanner. So her solution was to pound on the door until someone came and answered it. The guy at the front desk, he thought it was a football player. And she just said to him, "Excuse me, sir. My name is Abigail, and I've forgotten my room number." All's well that ends well. But I want you to think about what she did there. I mean, she ran into a real problem, right? She was suddenly isolated from the people that she knew. She had a challenge to face, and what did she do? She went and found someone who could help her, right? Raise your hand if right now you're facing any challenges in your business or your personal life. Yeah, I was gonna say, if you don't raise your hand, you're probably lying. Because we're all facing challenges, right? All right, now look around the room. Just look around the room for a second. Guess what? No matter what challenge you are probably facing, there's someone in this room who's probably either facing the same thing or has already faced it and has dealt with it. They might have the answers you're looking for, or at least the moral support that you need to get through whatever that challenge might be. So the question is, do you have the wisdom of a 4-year-old to go and ask? Because that's really what networking is about. We're looking to find the resources we need to face the challenges we face on a daily basis. And the better we do it, the more successful we're going to be, and really the more significant our lives are going to be. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, a little bit of networking, for those of us who are reluctant and those of us who aren't. We're going to, I hesitate to call this a keynote because it's really not, because we're going to be doing some activities together. I know.
You want to stay home now.
Because, yeah, you're gonna stay home. I'm gonna make the people online. I got my roomies, I got my zoomies. You know, everybody's gonna be playing along. But if I just tell you stuff, it's gonna be boring. First of all, but we're not gonna get get those skills, right? So we're gonna do a little bit of activities, but it's not a full workshop either because I'm a speaker and I like to tell stories. So we're gonna call it a key shot. Okay, we're just gonna go with that and work with me. I guess a little bit of my own background, since no one got to hear anything about me because I didn't get to do the tagline thing because I don't have one. So a lot of people assume that I'm a natural networker, that I am, very comfortable being in large groups of people. First of all, I'm not sure that there is such a thing as a natural networker, and even if there are, I'm certainly not one of them. Okay, well, stop pointing fingers. I know, here he is. Just work with me here. I actually have a confession to make. Okay. I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd. I have been all my life. I mean, before I started teaching people about connecting with each other, I was a computer programmer with all the social skills that implies. Anybody know any computer programmers? There's no, yeah, I was gonna say there's a reason for that. But it didn't start there. No, I went to college to become a mathematician. Oh yeah, mathematicians, we made the computer programmers look like social butterflies. But it didn't start there. No, you'd have to go back further. Back before I started collecting comic books, before I started playing Dungeons and Dragons, you'd have to go all the way to my 10th birthday. My 10th birthday. When my dear mother sent me down the dark path. For my 10th birthday, she gave me my very first science fiction novel. It was A Princess of Mars by Edgar Rice Burroughs. and I have been a lost soul ever since. I actually still am a science fiction nerd. In fact, if you should happen to run into me over Labor Day weekend, we are down in Atlanta, Georgia, where I am attending the Dragon Con Science Fiction Convention. Oh yeah, oh yeah. You've been there.
No,
No.
I'm not. I missed that one.
You looked like you knew about it, so I
Please
just.
enjoy it for me.
Are you in costume?
No, I'm not really a costume guy anymore.
So you could relate to the Big Bang Theory then, so.
Yeah, yes, very much so.
He could be a science fiction person dressed like a civilian.
I'm an alien dressed as a guy who speaks in front of people.
Right.
But honestly, I tell you this not just so you can get a chuckle at my expense, but to tell you that I have felt all the challenges of networking just like anybody else. I have made all the mistakes you can possibly make in networking. I've actually written a book about them. So, I mean, it's trust me when I say I understand your pain, but I'm also telling you, I'm not letting you off the hook. Because if a ex-computer programmer, mathematician, science fiction nerd can learn the techniques and be successful with them. So let's jump in. First of all, I guess we should ask the question, is networking even really important?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, well, I see some, and honestly, I could sit up here and tell you reasons all day long, right?
Mhm.
But you know, for some people, it might not actually resonate with you because those aren't important to you. So we're going to discover what is important to you. And we're going to do that with a little competition.
Ooh, good, I like that.
Ooh. Okay, well, I guess I should ask, raise your hand if you're a little competitive. Okay, because the way he did that, I'm gonna have to ask, raise your hand if you're a lot competitive.
If you're a lot competitive, it should have been up.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Oh,
We
okay,
wanna
well,
look
bossy,
maybe
right?
she's ashamed of it, but okay.
Bossy, right.
Raise your hand if the last time you had a family game night, you made someone cry.
All the time.
And you actually liked it?
Well, no, sometimes it's me crying.
Okay. All right, so this is the person you want to be connected with right now. Because there are actually prizes for this competition. These are CDs, it's old technology, but work with me on that too. Okay, so what we're going to do, you're going to pair up. So look around quickly and find someone that you can pair up with. Looks like we've got, I'm not going to disturb you because you're eating, okay? And everybody else is now wishing that they still had food to eat.
Quick, give me some bacon.
Something you don't know.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So, but Harry, you don't get to pair up with him.
No.
No.
There's only
We
9
are
of us.
here, we're not gonna.
Okay, all right.
Harry and I.
Okay, Harry, so John, you can turn around and do these two ladies, and I think we'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the thing. I'm going to give you 3 minutes. You and your partner have 3 minutes. All right? And what you are going to do is you have to come up with as many benefits of being well connected as you can. As many benefits of being well connected, because that's the ultimate result of good networking. These can be little things, it can be big things, it can be professional, it can be personal, whatever those benefits might be. 3 minutes. Are you ready?
Lifestyle.
Or do we just want to?
On your mark?
Wait, let me get a pen.
Okay, that's all right. We got pens over here. Let me know if you need me to get your pen.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
On your mark,
Oh.
get set, go.
Freedom to work your own hours.
Yeah, there you go.
You can work with your partner. Talk with your partner.
Oh.
It's a team. Yeah, it's a team sport here. And those of you online, you already got somebody doing this, they're working. All right.
Very independent.
Yeah. What about you? That's true, okay.
Access to other people that you may not know.
Okay.
By the way, the record is 30.
What?
In 3 minutes?
Her friends to talk to.
Wow.
We're at 33.
You're expanding your,
We're counting the words.
increase your ability to review other options.
Right, I just put my
Building
name on
long-term relationships.
support friendships. We did unlimited income.
Okay.
And references, lifestyle.
What else?
Of course, when you're done eating, I am gonna make you play, okay? So
Oh, I know, Mark. I love
Saying yes.
We'll put you with Mark.
Okay. You got this, Mark.
As long as you don't mind me being distracted.
All right, half the time's up. But the panic set in.
And now it's based.
There we go.
You have time to listen to speakers such as the activity.
Let me know if it's 1 minute.
1 minute. Sorry.
Open up your personality so that you.
Because it'll do a countdown for them to. All participants are given 60 seconds to leave for free.
Do you have a 60-second time window to close this one?
It closes automatically. Yeah.
In general, about 50% of the time I mess up or count rooms because I'll forget to leave the wrong time limit on it.
Yeah, when you hit close, it says 60 seconds.
15 seconds.
20 seconds here.
That's true.
Or 20 seconds.
15.
You do. Thank
10.
you very much. I appreciate that.
Mark's gonna let me know when it's done.
Borrowing a piece of paper from.
3, 2, 1. Okay, everybody's coming back.
All right, pencils down, pens down, crayons, styluses, whatever you got. All right, total up the number you have.
I think so.
Yeah, I put two of mine, a couple together.
Oh my gosh.
All right, everybody got a number?
Yeah.
All right, this is gonna be a little more challenging because I got people online too. So people online, one person from your group put in the total, so we know what you have from your group. Everyone else?
Total what? Total of things that we wrote?
Yes, the total number that you and your partners came up with.
Okay.
And Mark, you'll be their voice, all right? As soon
Or
as
they
you
can talk,
finish-
yeah.
As soon as you swallow. It's-
All
All right, everybody else, you need to stand up. Since you're staying in place, you don't have to put your mask on, so it's all good. All right. All right, if you had 5 or less, have a seat. Okay, good, good. 10 or less, have a seat. Okay, did your partner sit down too? I was worried that. There's no shame, you had 10 quality ones.
No, we only had 6, so we're
Okay,
good.
6 quality ones. All right, 13 or less, have a seat.
Oh, cool. I thought you were gonna jump up.
All right, let's go. How many did you have? 15? 15?
Penny's group had 8, Amy's group had 7.
Uh-oh, we've got a tie. 15. All right, so here's what we're gonna
The
do.
battle.
Look at your list. Look at your list. Come up with the most interesting one you think you've got, and we're gonna take a vote in the room. Ooh. Okay, quickly, you got 30 seconds to consult. 30 seconds to consult there.
He said the group's gonna decide. We
The
wouldn't
group gets to
decide your
decide
science
who
fiction.
gets whose
Just
life. This could be one you add to your
We
list.
are not
It's important to be well networked, so people are voting, you win. All right. All right, people online, are you ready to vote?
I know, I guess so.
Okay.
Sure.
Sure.
Yes.
All right, I gotta hear your answers now. Let's start off.
No, they're first.
Oh, sorry.
They're both in purple.
They're both in purple.
So that means they have to go first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems
Purple
reasonable.
people.
But you're both in
All right,
blue.
so what is your most interesting one that came up with?
You get to help others with the people that, can help them.
Well,
In
so
other
you're
words,
connecting people with the
Yes.
people they need.
Right.
Good.
All right, okay, and then you have over here,
You go for it.
You get out of your comfort zone.
so it takes you out of your comfort zone. All right,
You
So-
can't grow if you're in that.
all right, so we have the purple team came up with connecting with you with the resources you need and the people you need.
That's actually.
Yes.
And the blue team came up with
Yes.
taking you out of your comfort zone. All right, so votes for purple. We got, this
Yeah, blue team's voting for us.
+2, so, all right. I'm afraid
I know.
have to-
I know.
All right, a round of applause for our winners. All right, do we actually trust that they wrote down 15?
No.
I got 6 there. That was harsh. All right, how about this? Let's hear the 15 you came up with. All right, so read them out loud, bro.
Okay. You get introduced to higher ups. In other words, if I know a person, they can introduce you to their boss.
Yeah.
You get introduced to new prospects.
Yeah.
You can get into places that you couldn't have without networking.
Amen. Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, you are building relationships. Okay, and then the one we picked was you get to help others with people that can help them. And you know the interest of the people that you can help.
So you find out more. So how do you?
Like if I know you're a speaker, I can help you with people that can help you.
Excellent. Yeah.
So I put, you have a bigger audience for whatever you're doing. You have more resources at your disposal. You grow the reach of your business through other circles. That leads to increased profitability, long-lasting relationships over time. You're a reference to others in your community. You're helping other people succeed. And you're managing your conflict management skills because there's always that. And you're known as an expert in your field.
Excellent. All right, let's do that. That was a good thing. All right, now, did anybody have things that weren't on their list? Let's hear one. Harry, what was one?
Okay, we had, you get to have a lot of fun.
You get to have fun. Yeah, let's have fun.
Socializing. You can help people get a more positive attitude.
Okay, Harry, we gotta let everybody else have it. You only get one, all right? I remember you. Okay, this
I could build friendships.
build friendships. That's a great one. One over here, one over here.
They do business that they like.
Do business
With people that they
And
like.
with people they like.
I know, that didn't
You
sound right.
you have the ability that you start to speak better, what you're presenting.
You're more comfortable in your own skin. Yeah. All right, these are great. These are all great answers.
About online.
Okay, that's.
Oh, yeah, how about someone for online?
Yeah, it's Penny. Your first thoughts go to your network friends, to those who you've built those relationships with. And if somebody said that, I'm not hearing everybody, so I apologize.
That's a good one, Betty. You got it. Good. How about the other team?
So Greg,
Yeah.
this is Jack. You can get and give emotional support when people get
Right.
stuck and are in the doldrums. And you might find a new lunch buddy.
Excellent. Yeah, these are all great. Now here, I want to ask, we could sit here all day and we could come up with 40 or 50, wouldn't we? I mean, over and over and over. Did you notice that not all of those were professional? There was a lot of personal stuff in there too, right? Did anybody write down good health? Good health? Sure. Did you? It's too late. You've already won, okay? No, good health. There have been studies that show that those who are better connected they tend to be healthier. They tend to live longer. They tend to get sick less. And even when they do get sick, they recover faster. So what does that tell you?
People need people.
People need people, but also drop your gym membership and come to more downriver.
Wow.
Right? Right, Mark?
That's right.
Yeah. All right, so if there's all these benefits of networking, if there's all these benefits, why aren't people doing it? What's stopping? What's getting
Here.
fear? Okay.
Time.
Rejection.
Rejection. Oh, yeah, time. Time, that's another one, yeah. All these are, I think these are all valid reasons why people, well, let's say excuses, why people aren't networking.
Laziness.
Laziness, pure down laziness.
So Laura put on.
Takes too much time.
Takes time, yeah. And I think all of these things are real. I think there is actually one that's fundamental, one that's underneath all the rest.
Like you said, the reluctant,
It's a
we're reluctant
reluctance,
to
yeah.
it.
But
We
where
don't
does that
want to.
come from? Where does it come
The fear again.
from? We're gonna try something real quick. It's a game called Finish the Phrase, and my Zoomies, please feel free to finish the phrase also. We'll hear you, okay? All right, so in this game, I start a phrase and you.
In it.
Finish
This is gonna be a long day, Mark. All right, so I'm gonna start a phrase and you're going to finish it. All right, all right. So speak only when.
Spoken to.
Excellent. Children should be seen and
Not heard.
Messy.
There's one in every crowd and they have to be virtual. Okay, never talk to. Wow, you all got that one right. Never talk to strangers.
How could you make a friend?
Never talk to strangers. Never talk to strangers. Where do we learn that?
That's right.
Kids.
We were real young, weren't we?
Yeah.
Who taught it to us?
Parents.
Especially, who especially probably taught it to us?
Parents, teachers.
Yep, mom, your parents, yeah, the teachers, but mom was probably the one that was right in the forefront that had never talked to strangers, right? Okay. So here's the thing. When we walk into a networking opportunity, whether it's online or in person, we open the doors and what do we see in front of us?
Strangers.
And what's mom doing in the back of our head?
Don't talk to strangers.
Don't talk, you think it gets in the way? Do you think it gets in the way? And I know that there are some people right now saying, doesn't affect me. No, and Jan, yes, I know you are. I'm talking to you right now. Some people are saying that right now. I don't have a problem with that. Everybody does. Trust me, everybody does. We naturally tend to go toward the people we already know, unless we consciously choose not to. And I know this because I would go and speak at these big conferences. one of these ballrooms with these big circle tables. And on the outside, it says, networking, this is what we're going to do, networking. And people come in and what do? They sit one to a table. One to a table.
It must be good.
Could be.
Or they sit with their friends.
Or they sit with their friends. And then when they're forced to, of course, eventually the whole table is full and you've got to sit with someone else. But what happens? They leave the buffer chair. Right, the buffer chair, it's right there, or also known as the purse holder. Yeah, no, it's, and if you think about it, so mom was the one who taught us this, but who taught her?
Her mom.
Yeah, and who taught her mom?
Her mom.
Back and back and back.
Get rid of these bumps.
Oh, my, But think about it, it goes all the way back to a time when we were tribes. And yes, those outside our tribe were a danger to us. And in fact, unfortunately, as a result of the last 15 months, I think some of that may be re-triggered again. We are very nervous about those who are not part of our household. And it's something we're going to have to start getting past again. We're going to have to start feeling comfortable with. And so here's one of the challenges we face. That is a really deeply ingrained pattern. It's a deeply ingrained mindset. And I can give you all the reasons in the world why you shouldn't do it, but reasons don't change mindset, don't change an emotional feeling. We've got to change our mindset. So let's come up with a different one. Let's adopt a new one. Or maybe an old one. One that's almost as old as stranger danger. Let's suppose you were throwing a party. Raise your hand if you've ever thrown a party. Okay, and those of you online, just say yes to the chat if you've ever thrown a party.
Yes.
That's like,
Yes.
yeah, Jan, I know, I saw the police cars. All right, let's suppose you're throwing a party. And let's assume it's in the before times, so everyone's comfortable. And you've invited your next door neighbor. And the evening of the party comes around, and your neighbor shows up, and they have their brother with them, the brother that you have never met before.
Oh, gosh, that did happen to me.
It's okay, just breathe through.
Oh, he's crazy. Weird.
Okay, well,
Sorry, go ahead.
your experience aside,
Sorry.
let's assume that they are perfectly normal. Do you ignore the brother?
No, he wouldn't let you.
No.
Oh.
Your
I know,
experience
sorry.
aside. No, of course not. Why don't you ignore them? Because you are the host.
Host.
And they are your
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, of course, the host guest, that relationship is in, right? And there are myths and legends of those who violate that relationship. What happens to them?
You get killed.
Yeah. Yeah, they get thrown in the ocean, eaten by sharks. I mean, there's all sorts of bad things that happen to the people who violate guest hosts. That is how important it is to us. So how about this? The next time you go to a networking event, instead of walking through those doors as a terrified little child afraid of the strangers, walk through it as the host. And all those around you are your guests.
And smile.
Smile, thank you, Barry. No, but treat them as your guests.
Really, I think that a lot of
Does that mean we have to show up in person next month?
You know, that's actually a really good question. Showing up in person is wonderful, but can't you be a host online as well? I mean, when you get
Certainly.
Haven't you ever been in a breakout room and everybody kind of stares at each other? Couldn't you just kind of take charge? I mean, it's not that hard. Oh, hey, all right, Jennifer, why don't you go ahead and you start? That's how hard it is to become the host. People respect that. And don't you feel a little bit more comfortable with that? Can you imagine that mindset walking in? Do you think you'd feel a little bit more comfortable and more confident? Because now it's not about you anymore. It's about making that other person comfortable too. And really, ultimately, that is the secret to good networking, is your focus is almost always on that other person. If you can do that, you will be a better network.
That's one thing is when we were ambassadors for the chamber, that's one thing they brought up is that when you go to an event and you're staying there with your friends, if you see a person that is brand new, one of you go over and greet them. Because this happens, and when that person, if no one talks to them, they won't be back. They will not be back.
Well, and then that's, if we want to make people welcome in the groups, and we don't even have to be officially hosts. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to be official. You don't have to have the badge.
The other thing is, if 3 people are talking and you come up to that group, if they don't open up that group and let you in there, you may as well leave it because they'll continue talking and you'll be standing outside the group.
No,
I used to do.
You carry it. You're jumping ahead.
I told you.
I am.
Sorry.
Now, let's, you can walk in with all the confidence in the world. You still have to approach people. You still have to have conversations, right? So this is one of the most challenging things we have is how do you approach the group? How do you break in? Because it can feel a little bit like that junior high school dance. It can feel a little bit like you walk in and all the cool kids are over there and you're going to stand over here in the corner and wait for something to happen. But let's talk about that. Okay, first of all, here's the rule. You ready for the rule of how to approach groups? Look for the smallest group possible. The smallest group possible. What's the smallest group possible?
One person.
One. Look for the one sitting off by themselves, looking sad and pathetic, not you personally. I should point out. No, look for that person sitting off by themselves. It's just not looking comfortable. Go up and say hello. That's all you have to do. You know, I was speaking in a catalog one time. One of the executives came up with it. She told me, he says, I do that. I do that. I was at a networking event one time, and there was a guy sitting off to the side looking kind of out of place. And so I sat down with him. I started talking to him. He was the president of the local bank. Raise your hand if you'd like to have the president of the local bank in your network. No, not yet. The president of the local credit union. Pick a name, Mark, help me out.
Hey.
Of course, I mean, and not only in your network, but grateful to you. So if you at home, right? So look for that smallest group. All right. Let's suppose you're in a room of rampant extroverts. There are no singletons out there. So what's the next larger group?
Two.
Thank you, man. All right, you're on top of things. Really appreciate that. So two, we have to be a little careful though. We have to watch for their body language, as Harriet was talking about earlier. In fact, Harriet, would you be willing to help me out with something?
Sure.
Would you come up here?
I used to do image consulting at one time, and went through the whole thing about business things, and it really does work.
It does.
It does, and
So let's suppose Harriet and I are in a conversation. We're shoulder to shoulder, kind of facing outward to the room. This is an open conversation. It's perfectly all right just to walk up and say, "Hey, I join you." If we are squared off like this is a private. You're the troublemaker.
Well, that's how you look. That's how you look.
Okay, we're squared off. This is more of this is a private conversation. If we try and force our way into this, we're interrupting, which is not a good way to start a relationship. And I've had people say, well, what if I really, really want to talk to one of them? Well, yeah, go ahead and be rude. Of course not. You wait to be patient. All right, now if we are shoulder to shoulder facing away from the room, planning a bank heist, don't bother. All right. Now you can approach, you can go up and say hello, you can introduce yourself, you can have those conversations. And that's really what we want to do, is we want to have those conversations. We want to find out more about that person, because our ultimate goal is to see whether this is a good connection, right? That's what we want, is to find out if this is a good connection. And then we're done. Networking is over. It's easy after that. No, it isn't, because if you look at your watches, we got a time to go here, so there's more. No, of course not. I mean, talking once is not enough. Okay, let me do a quick exercise. Raise your hand if you've got a car, and you actually like your car, and you're willing to play along. All right, and I apologize, I forgot your first name.
Leilani.
Leilani, how could I forget Leilani? Okay, Leilani, let's assume that you and I just met at a networking event. Stretch your imagination on that one. Okay, so we have just met at a networking event, and we're chatting, and you begin to get the feeling this could be a good professional relationship. Okay, and I stop it. Leilani, what kind of car do you drive?
A Traverse, Chevy Traverse.
Traverse, that's a nice car. I gotta drive down to Toledo tonight. Can I borrow your car?
No.
Big no. Come on. Okay, I get it. But let me ask you, are there people in your life to whom you might lend your vehicle?
Definitely.
Okay, probably close friends, maybe family?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let me ask about those relationships. I mean, did you develop those once a month in a crowded room talking about the weather?
No.
No. A lot of shared experience, right?
Yes.
Okay, I have a question for you. This is an important question. It's not a trick question.
Okay.
Just an important one. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Great, Leilani. Which do you value more? Your car or your reputation?
Reputation.
Oh, good, she answered quickly. Honestly, I think people pause a long time. And actually, I had one guy who said, I don't know, they're both in pretty bad shape. Don't admit it. No, of course not. I mean, we value our reputation more than any material object, right? So let me ask you this. If Leilani is unwilling to lend me her car after a 5-minute conversation, why would she lend me her reputation? And most of what we want from our networking, it comes from someone putting their reputation on the line for us, right? I mean, for Leilani, if she recommends me to the local restaurant association to speak for them, and I go in and stink up the place, I look bad, of course, but doesn't that damage her reputation as well? So we need to find ways of really establishing a really strong connection if we want to get the results we want out of our network. And that means longer conversations.
That's right.
And actually some of the best ways of making connections is to look for ways to be of service. And as with most audiences, when I say that, I'm seeing a lot of, yes, that makes a lot of sense. But the funny thing is when I actually go and work with one of my clients and say, okay, what are you working on right now to be of service to your network? They suddenly get a bad case of the justas. Oh, I'm just a new hire. I really don't know anybody yet. I'm just a retiree. I've really gotten out of the business. I'm just a business owner. I don't have time to get my own business running. How would I have time to help anybody else? And I guess I can understand that. If you think the only way you can be of service is the big things, if you think the only way you can be of service is by getting someone a contract with a tier 1 auto supplier, yeah, it's too big. We can't do that. But here's the thing. The magic is in the little things. It's in the little things. That same trip down to Disney World, just out of curiosity, Disney World, you're all familiar with it, right? You've down in Florida? Okay. So it was the first full day there. It was the evening. And we're sitting on Main Street, USA, waiting for Mickey's Electrical Parade to start. And the girls are so excited because down the street, you can actually see it started. And from behind me, I hear, excuse me, princesses? So I turned to see who was talking to my daughters. And one of the shopkeepers had come out of his store. And he said, excuse me, princesses, the parade's about to start, but we have a problem. They forgot to turn out the lights. Would you be willing to help me?
Oh, cool.
Duh. So he's, all right. He reaches in his pocket, pull out this little cloth bag. He had it pulled off their hands, and he poured that Mickey Mouse confetti, the little mouse head thing into their hands. He says, this is the magic dust.
Oh my gosh.
He said, all right, now close your hands. Now first, you have to think happy thoughts. They're at Disney World. So it's a stretch. All right, now, wave one hand over the other 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Now turn around 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Now on the count of 3, throw the dust in the air. 1, 2, 3. The lights went out. They went bananas. They had just seen
Magic.
magic. And I looked over at my wife and she just had joy coming out of her eyes that her kids had gotten to experience this. And me, in my heart of hearts, I knew Disney owns my soul. That's okay. But think about what they did. I mean, Disney, of course, they do the big things really well. Yeah. But it's the little things that make the magic. How much do you think it cost them for that confetti?
50 cents. $1.
Dollar.
Oh, no, it's
Free.
Disney,
I mean,
so.
Where are you buying your confetti? Because I can sell some to you. You're going to my shredder. You know, and I mean, this literally is like 16 pieces. I mean, if it was a half a penny, I'd be shocked. But in the right moment, a half a penny made magic. Made it priceless. Now, I got news for you. Every single one of you has a bag full of confetti in your pocket. It costs you almost nothing. But if you share it with the right person in the right moment, it can make magic. Okay, raise your hand right now. You're just really into it, aren't you? Raise your hand right now if you've ever traveled or lived in an exotic location, you know, like
Japan.
Cleveland. Where are some places?
Australia.
Australia.
Oh, I visited there, it's so nice. Japan.
Japan, yeah.
Dearborn Heights.
Oh, Hawaii.
Hawaii, okay, good. All right, Leilani, I'm gonna ask you, if you were chatting with somebody that said they wanted to go to Hawaii, you might be able to give some advice to them, right?
Definitely.
Tell them some of the places they gotta see,
Yeah,
and some of the places that maybe they should steer clear of.
there are none.
There are no.
Oh, there are none, right?
I've been to
We have
Hawaii,
let
there
them
are
know.
places you should steer clear of, I know. But that advice can make the difference between them having a great time and just an okay time, right?
Yes,
And how much does it cost you to give them that advice?
nothing at all.
Nothing at all, but it could make magic, right? Has anybody heard of any job openings?
Everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
Yeah.
But passing along that information to somebody, how much does it cost you?
Nothing.
Nothing. Could it make a difference in their lives?
Absolutely.
Huge, right? Even a simple introduction. How much does it cost?
Nothing.
Could it make a difference? Yeah, it could make magic. So the idea is we need to be paying attention to what people need. So we have to have better conversations. If we're just talking about the weather, the most we're going to find out is they need an umbrella. I mean, let's face it, talking about the weather is just commiseration. We need to have better conversations. And so one of the things we're going to do is we're going to talk about what that could look like, what a better conversation could be, one where we're listening for ways to be of service. Okay? And I actually created a simple mnemonic that I use. It's called INFER, I-N-F-E-R, INFER. So the I stands for their interests. What do they like to do when they're not selling widgets? So one of two things can happen. You might discover you share a common interest. And that is so cool when it happens, isn't it? I mean, you've all been there. You've been standing next to a stranger in line, you start talking, you find out you're both from, I don't know, the same small town, or you find out you both love baseball, or you're both into quilting. You know,
Yes.
no judgment. Yeah, but isn't that awesome when that happens? Because suddenly it's like you've known each other forever. You can share that common interest. Now, it could also happen, though, that you don't share their particular passion. Right? I mean, I might be talking with Jennifer and find out she's into alpine chainsaw juggling. Not my thing. But we can look for ways to connect them with their interests. Say, Jennifer, I heard the Chainsaw Jugglers Convention's coming to town.
Right.
Yeah. Now, does Jennifer probably already know that the Chainsaw Jugglers Convention's coming to town? Yeah, of course. I mean, the Chainsaw Jugglers is a very tight-knit group.
There's only two.
But the fact that I am sharing that information with her tells her that I care about her.
You remember.
I remember, and I care about her as a person, not as a prospect, not as a possible partner in business or whatever. I care about her as a person. And that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to connect on a personal level. Okay, so that's I for their interests and their networks. Where do they go to find their success? This could be both professional or personal. One of three things can happen here. One, you might discover you're part of the same group. Maybe you're part of the same church. That's that shared interest thing all over again. And suddenly you're connected. Now you might discover that you are part of a group that they should be a part of. What should you do?
Tell them about it. Invite them.
Yeah, who said invite?
Yeah.
Yes, invite them. Tell them you care enough. Be their hero. Invite them to come along, because is it hard joining a new group? Yeah, because it's that whole stranger thing, right? But if you have someone who's with you, isn't it easier? Yeah, so be a hero. All right, now the other thing that might happen is they might belong to a group that you want to be a part of. So what do you do? Did you read my script? Yes, you ask. Ask to be their guest. And I know at least one person here is probably Jana. No, just kidding, Jan. Is going, that feels a little pushy. But what is every group out there looking for? Members. Yeah.
More connections.
More connections, right. And where do members and connections come from? Guests, first timers. In fact, there's often people, when you invite guests to a group, you get extra accolade, don't you? You get extra credit. You're doing them a favor by asking. I've had people, when I will get done with a phone call with them, I say, hey, what can I do to help you out? And I said, you know what? I need a guest for my Rotary meeting because it's coming up. Do you know anybody? Sure. Hey, why don't you invite this person? Thank you so much. Thank you. So ask about their networks. All right, that's N. F, their future focus. What are the dreams? What are their goals? We have to be a little careful with this one. I mean, I don't want to be sitting down across from Beth and say, so Beth, tell me what your goals are for the rest of your life. That's wrong, it's creepy, don't do that. But certainly as part of a normal conversation, couldn't you say, so do you have any plans for the summer? Or what do you see as some of the challenges in your business the upcoming year? I mean, if you can help people meet their dreams or avoid some of those challenges, reciprocity means they're going to turn around and help you out too. All right, so that's F-E, their evolution. Or I like to think of it as their epic journey. How do they get from where they were to where they are? And here's the important part. Why? Why? I mean, the first part's just good conversation. People love to tell their story and be the star of the movie of the week. But the why part is the important part, because that speaks to what they value, what their mission in life is. And if you discover that you share a common mission, that's way better than sharing a chainsaw job. Seriously, if you discover someone has the same mission as you in life, you are instantly on the same team. So ask, be curious. All right, so that's E. R, their relationships, who they care about. Now, if we had to be careful about their goals, we got to be really careful about this one, because people are intensely protective of those who are close to them, right? Really. But the best networkers I know, they are always looking for a way to help the family. They're looking for ways to help the kids get into a good school, or maybe get the brother a new job, or help the parents stay in their house just a little bit while longer. Because they know that if you can protect and nurture the family, you become family, and you get that same protection in return. So, yeah, it's not going to probably happen on the first coffee. But as we get to know each other better, isn't it natural that we start talking about the people in our lives and start sharing maybe some of the challenges we're facing? So look for those opportunities. All right, now comes time for the test. Paper's over. You don't really have to do it. I'm just always curious to see who will. Oh, I'm just mean. What can I say? All right, so I. Interest. All right, you're on top of it. Good. N.
Networking.
Now she's just trying to be first. F. Future focus. E. Evolution. R. Relationships. Oh, you guys are so great at this. You are now ready to have an inversation. Yeah, I know it's cheesy. Just kidding. All right, so what we're gonna do is you are gonna have the best is if you can do pairs on this one. So Leilani, if you will join us, that will even up in here. Have a 4-minute conversation with the person who's your partner. And use this tool to see if you can find ways to be of
Service.
service. All right, 4 minutes.
Yes.
Go.
Working with you? Wait, oh, it's Sam.
Info, they're supposed to be doing info conversation to learn about each other. Did you have a question on that? Oh, okay.
One of the things I have. So like you can build me to bring. That's when I.
You know, like kind of like enchanted thing. Yeah, I'll let my mom know. My mom's been
You hear the sound of my voice, clap once.
Oh, crap. I'm like excited. I'm like on time. We're working with somebody
10 more minutes.
I'm sorry, I know it seems ironic that in a networking presentation, I'm telling you to stop networking. But we'll come back together in just a couple minutes here, and then I will release you and you can go ahead and talk. All right? I promise. I told you, Mark, we need to leave a little gap in the end there. So. All right. Was that kind of interesting?
Yeah.
I mean, was that tool kind of helpful?
Yeah.
Direct. All right, I hesitate to ask. Well, first of all, let me ask, did you find out something new about the person?
Yes.
Raise your hand if you actually already knew the person, because if you never.
I didn't know her, but I learned, I know of Beth, like, very.
I know.
I know
she
it
was
was
up
something
there.
like totally like.
Her
cliche,
notoriety extends.
But I know because her part happens to be my best friend. So, it's like, I know how, Beth is in the business end, but we haven't never gotten a chance to talk on a more personal. So I'm super excited.
All right.
So.
And my friends, my Zoomies, did you find out something about the people who you were with?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
They're there. I can see
Is that
it.
a thumbs up or what was that?
No. Just kidding.
Yes.
We'll assume it all went well with them.
Well, it did.
Okay, good. Are you all looking? We're getting the thumbs up over there. All right,
Yeah.
good. All right. I've actually had people who've known each other for 2 decades that use this tool and still learn something new about the other person. And I think the reason for that largely is that most of our conversations on a day-to-day basis tend to be pretty surface level. We'll talk about what we had for dinner last night, maybe what we watched on TV, but we don't really talk about what's important to us.
Can I just say that whenever I talk to somebody, say they just got a puppy or whatever, whenever I see them a second time or third time meet with me, I always ask them about their dog. And always just keep asking questions about them because people like to talk about themselves.
And which slot does that fit in? Interest and
Relationships.
relationships. Yeah, excellent, Harry. Yeah, but here's the thing, we don't talk about those things that are
That's
important to us. And so this is just a tool to kind of help us gently dig a little deeper. Now, I hesitate to ask the smaller group because it's a fairly small sample size, but did anybody by chance find a way to be of service to the person they were with? Oh, wow, that hand went up real fast.
Yeah.
Right, awesome. And that's in a 4-minute conversation. Can you imagine if you had an hour to talk to someone? You think you could find out something more, some other way you could be of service? And here's why this is so important. If you call up someone and say, hey, just checking in, what's that code for?
I'm thinking of you.
Friendship,
What was that?
friendship.
Friendship, but most of the time, if you're just checking in, people assume that you want something from them. I'm just checking in to see if you have some business for me. I'm just checking in to see if you want to hire me. I'm just checking in. How often do you think you can just check in?
I only use that phrase with friends, though. I never use that in business. I mean, like, but that's my way of like, they're not feeling good, just checking in, how you doing?
But that's just what I'm saying. You can't use that phrase.
No, never.
I mean, you might use it once every 6 months just to check in with your network.
I've never.
Maybe.
Never.
If every time you call them, you have something of value for them.
Right, that's different.
How often can you call them then?
All the time.
Every time I have something.
Every single, if you have something of value every single day, they will look forward to your call.
Right.
It makes networking so much easier if they know that when the phone rings and they see that caller ID, that Liz is calling, I better pick up.
Not my business.
Not my business.
Ouch.
This is where they get to know you as someone who can provide more than just a casket. All right. But here's the thing. This is not a government form. Okay? Don't say, let's see if we can knock this out. Don't write it up on a piece of paper and hand it to them and tell them to fill it out. All right? It's just a guideline for conversation. That said, it might be a good idea to find some way to record this information. So the next time you meet with them, and there should be a next time, you can say, you know what, I was talking to Jim and I forgot to ask him about what his goals were. Let me make sure I do that this time. It's just an easy mechanism for us to stay connected. So we kind of had some fun. And we've talked about a few things with networking. And you've heard about my dark past. Beth and I were having a great conversation earlier talking about if you wanted to ever share a pain story, it's the first time you ever went networking. Because let's face it, it's an uncomfortable situation. And I'm no different. When I started out networking, I was horrible at it. I still remember, I was at the Ann Arbor Chamber. I went to my first networking lunch. I went and got my food. I went over to the corner and I sat down at the table in the corner. I started eating my food and I was really irritated when someone sat with me. And then, when I started talking to them, I found out that they couldn't buy from me. So why do I need to talk to them anymore? For some reason, I didn't have a lot of people that would answer my call back then. Who knew? But let's jump forward 25 years now. People will answer my call or my email or my text, whatever. And almost every opportunity I have is because someone in my network has connected me. I mean, even this one, Mark, you know me from way back. When was the first time I spoke?
2012.
2012? But there was someone who connected us, right? Sean DeParent.
Yes, that's true.
Sean DeParent connected us. Almost every one of my speaking engagements is someone connecting me with that opportunity. So what do you think happened between the time when they were, oh, get away from this guy, and oh, let's help this guy whenever we can? What do you think changed in that time?
You built a relationship.
Confidence.
Confidence? There was a certain amount of confidence, but do you know any salespeople that are really confidently putting you in a headlock and trying to sell to you? I became valuable. I learned to be valuable, yeah. I learned also to behave myself properly. I learned, I actually took a class or two. I read some books. I tried things. I failed. I tried more things. And eventually I kind of developed some systems because, believe it or not, do you know what computer programmers really do? We create systems. We create processes. And so what I ended up doing is actually applying that skill to this fuzzy thing called networking. And I wrote a book about it. And it's called Hello and a Handshake. And I'm going to give away a copy today. Unless you don't want one. Beth, you seem to be kind of intrigued. So if no one else wants it, I'll give it.
Get one. We should each get one.
Oh, what we're going to do is we're going to do this. What did she say?
I like that.
We should each get
have
one.
Jan,
I'm confident.
no one to live. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little drawing. So what you need is get out your business card.
I don't have one.
If you do not have a business card, I have blank ones here.
The online people have a card already turned in.
Yes, believe it or not, online people, I've actually already thought of you, my Zoomies. We actually have business cards for you already written out and ready to go into the basket. So, but online, my Zoomies, I want you to still listen because there's some instructions I'd like you to follow if you can, please. All right, and does anyone need a blank one? No? Wow. All right, give yourself a round of applause because this is the first audience I've ever spoken to. Everyone has a business card. You'd think. All right, on the back of your card, write the letters RST. And my Zoomies, you just listen for what they stand for. You can put RST in the chat when you know which ones to use, okay? So just stick with me for a second. All right, I have a couple of free gifts I'm offering. I have a 45-minute audio program called Connection Quick Tips. And I also have a free pass to our next 21-21-21 networking training, which is a 21-minute long training. It's normally $21. You get it for free. If you'd like to be on that list, circle R to request or to receive the gifts. And my Zoomies, remember, if you like that one, remember R, okay? All right. If you belong to other groups who bring in outside speakers and you think that the message of connecting with each other would resonate with them, circle S for a possible speaking opportunity. And I'll reach out to you and we can talk about who we can help. Finally, I know that no matter how good a speaker I ever get to be, one time in front of you for an hour is not going to transform your life when it comes to networking. So I set up a program called the 52 Connection Tips. It's a once a week program. You receive it in the email. It's about a 1.5 minute long audio program with a transcript in case you can't play noise or wherever you are. If you'd like to receive that free of charge, circle T for the tips. All right, so my Zoomies, R, S, T, you just choose whichever ones you want, write them in the chat, and Mark will let me know later what you wanted. You may select more than one. If you don't ever want to see me or hear from me again, circle anything. You still
Scratch it out.
scratch it out, yeah. But you can still win a prize. And when you're done doing that, please pass the cards inward. Select them.
Where our names are written on the back of my book.
And I actually used to pass the box around. But I was at a speaking event one time where we had 50 people in the audience. 50 people. And so I did the same thing. Offer, and we started the box passing around. They got back to the front and I shook it. And there was one card in there. Now I can understand 2 or 3 people dropping out, but 49 seemed a little excessive. So I looked at the last guy and everyone else looked at the last guy and he had dumped out everybody's cards and put his in. He said, "What? I'm from New York. You got to eliminate the competition."
Oh my gosh.
So we don't pass the box around anymore. All right. Drum roll, please. The winner is Jim. Woohoo! Have a round of applause, Jim. Don't seem very loud, it's because they're jealous. I really appreciate your being here in person and online today. It's been such a grand time playing with you. I hope you picked up an idea or two. Now, here's the thing. I'm challenging you. Go out and make use of it. Go out and continue to build your networks. And understand that while you're doing so, you're not just building a tool for your business. You're building a resource that will help you lead a life of significance.
I do have a question. You're a computer programmer. What made you change careers?
Yeah, what a difference.
Okay, this is after the event, so I can talk now. So I was a computer programmer working for the University of Michigan. In 1994, my mom encouraged me to start my own business, and she actually bought me my first computer. So I could do web development, because that was the brand new hot thing back then. You could do it sitting in your bedroom. And so I worked evenings and weekends, just doing little odd jobs. It flashed, if you move forward, it was 1994. In 2007, I was slowly rolling back my time at the university and increasing my hours as a coder. 2007, I was reading a book called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. And in it, he said, poor and middle-class people want to be rich. Wealthy people commit to it. I said, you know what? I'm not committed this time. So 2007, I marched into my boss's office after asking my wife's permission. And gave him my 2 weeks notice. And I went full-time on the business. Entrepreneur. Anyone remember what was going on back 2007, 2008? Well, the funny thing was, I'd actually built a network by that point. I learned the skills I needed, that my business actually grew 50% every year. Downside, I never wanted to have employees. So I was having to do all the work, and it was too much for me. And so it's September of 2009. I still remember it quite vividly. It's 3 a.m. and I'm working on trying to get a project done. And 3 a.m. has got to be the loneliest time because there's no one in the world that's awake. And I suddenly I had to stop. This is not making me happy anymore. This is not the way I want to live my life. I got to figure out something new. And this is, for me, I've been 20 years as a computer programmer. That was part of my identity. So for me to switch, that was a very big deal.
So why did you pick this?
Well, the next day, I was actually meeting a friend of mine from the chamber, Cheryl O'Brien. She was the membership director, and I chatted with her. And I was, as a good friend will, she let me complain for a while, and then eventually told me to shut up. But she said, Greg, have you ever considered teaching people how you grew your business? And that was when the Reluctant Networker was born.
Okay.
Very cool. You know, one thing I had, when you're talking about magic, I was sitting here and this came to my mind, of course. That's weird. Sometimes women have a tendency to see bright silvery things. We sort of
This
get.
shiny object syndrome, I understand.
Anyway, we were waiting in the airport. We were going to Hawaii. Is it Hawaii? We went that time when. What happened, we were sitting there and our neighbor works for the airlines and she was behind the counter. And anyway, we went up there and we said, we were checking in and she said, you know what? She said, sit down for a minute. I might have something for you. Well, what she did, she put us in first class. And I want to tell you, I was like that little kid with the confetti. I'm telling you, because we had never flown first class. Now I know why that people like to fly first class.
Oh, yeah. Well, especially if you're going to Hawaii.
It was
That's a
really,
pretty nice little upgrade.
but I thought of that little girl, and you know what happens with people is, and there was a saying, I just ran across it. We do not get old because we don't laugh enough as we get older. And the reason is not because we're older, we just don't laugh. Because we get older and people don't. And my great grandmother always told my mother, always smile when you go into a room, always. And I've always remembered that. God rest my mother. Anyway, but you know what? It really does work because when you have a smile on your face, people will talk to you.
That's a whole aspect of approachability. You're basically putting on the front porch,
It makes you
which
healthier.
makes people feel comfortable.
Your
Good,
attitude's
good.
better.
Good ideas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg.
Well, thank you all. I do appreciate it.
Thanks.
Mark, I'll turn it back over to you, buddy.